Can't tell you how many friends and coworkers I have who are content with working 80 hours a week for the rest of their lives just to keep up with their spending habits. It happens all too regularly that you get people in these high pressure jobs who don't work there because they want to, but because they have to. Today I'm going to talk to you about the 3 traps that the rich fall into that get them stuck in the rat race and how you can avoid those too. Pitfall number 1 that gets the rich stuck in the rat race is buying with the ego instead of buying with your brain. This is what I like to think about when you think about lifestyle inflation. Simply put, what lifestyle inflation is when your earnings go up, you think that you should spend more to keep up with this new lifestyle that you have. When in reality, what you should be doing is try to keep your lifestyle as similar as possible, and that extra money should be put away, preferably into a high yield savings account or investments account. Now, I really do think that people become victim to lifestyle inflation because they're chasing this dopamine hit. You worked hard, you got the raise, or you got your bonus, right? And that's your dopamine hit. But from what I've learned about dopamine, and again, I'm not trying to get too scientific here, you should listen to like Andrew Huberman or something if you want to actually learn about dopamine. But from what I've learned is it goes up in a peak and then it falls into a valley beneath that baseline, and then it has to get back up to the baseline. But in that period of the valley, you're actually looking for that next dopamine hit. So what I think is happening here is people are actually chasing that next dopamine hit, and so they're going to buy things like nicer clothes, a nicer car, a new house. Here's what I would say. Here's my tip for how you can avoid it. So take this thing you want to buy. Let's keep it to a watch for this analogy. And what I want you to do is I want you to go tell 10 people over a period of 10 weeks. That means 1 person per week for 10 weeks. And then on week 11, I guarantee you won't want to buy that watch as badly as you did before, if at all. If you still get to week 11 and you're like, I need this watch, it's the only thing that will ever make me happy, then okay, do some serious research and think about it. But I guarantee when you get to week 11, you're not going to want the watch like you think you're going to want the watch. And here's why this works. This tip is related to the science behind anticipatory dopamine release. And what this means is your brain can actually anticipate when something good is going to happen or some goal is going to be achieved. So it'll actually release the dopamine before it's actually happened. So what you can do here is you can get yourself these 10 dopamine hits spread out over a series of 10 weeks without actually having to make the unreasonable purchase and kind of waste your money on something silly. So this tip will be a great way to help you get that dopamine hit you're after and help you get the satisfaction you want, and you can join the conversations, right? You can talk, everyone's going to talk about the new watch they're going to get. You can get in the same conversations too, but then when they buy their watch and, no pun intended, kind of the luster wears off, you'll still be that $15,000, $20,000 richer than everyone else because you didn't actually do it. And I think you'll be much happier that you did. Now, what I want to be clear on is if this increase in wage will get you to a safer place in life or get you out of a bad situation, this is by no means what I'm talking about. What you need to do is you need to make sure that your needs are always met. There are needs that must be met at all times. What I'm talking about here is when you get to this point where all your needs are met, then your brain starts to conflate wants and needs. There are things that you want that your brain says, I need to have that. You need a safe shelter, you don't need a watch. There are times in life when expenses should increase, and you need to make sure that if it is in relation to your needs, it is totally okay for your lifestyle expenses to increase. Pitfall number 2 is keeping up with the Joneses. So you've probably heard this before, but you get this idea where the rich are trying to keep up with the ultra rich now. And there's always something better out there. And what I want to talk about today is maybe break it down a little bit differently than it's normally broken down, is to think about it from a place of ordinal lists. If you remember from statistics class, we talked about ordinal directionality and things of that nature. If not, if you don't really remember statistics class, totally fine. Think about when you were a kid and you played sports or you were in, some sort of music, dance competition, whatever it is, right? Let's say you got second and someone else got first. That is an ordinal list, right? Someone got first, someone got second, someone got third. And there's no way that anyone else could have gotten first or second or third, because that's the ranking, that's the list. So what happens here in life is it's ingrained in you since you're a kid that you must get first place, right? Everyone does it. It's just kind of like a universal truth that parents are telling you must get first place. So what happens is you start feeling those psychological effects of ordinality in your life. You're probably thinking right now, Kyle, stop talking about statistics class. Like, I hate statistics. But hear me out. Here's where I'm going with this. So being rich is a qualitative description, and person X has Y number of dollars is a quantitative description. So it's quite easy to say, like for example, as of this video today, right? Like the richest person in the world. So this analogy, this lesson doesn't really apply to him, right? Because there's actually no one that has more money than him. But let's say that there's always someone who has more dollars than you. So you can quantify that. Someone has more dollars than you. You can, by default, create an ordinal list that someone has more dollars than you, someone has less dollars than you, someone has equal dollars than you. But if I asked you and put you to the task, I really don't think you care about how many dollars everyone has, because it's not something you really think about that often. Like, for example, if I said you could have, 100 million more dollars, 30,000 of that would be extremely important to you. Potentially 100,000 would be like mildly important to you. We get into like $1 million, you'd be happy for a bit, but again, I don't think you'd care that much. We get to 3 million plus, I guarantee you wouldn't feel a difference between 3 and 100. So there's that quantifiable, like who has more dollars, who has less dollars, who has equal dollars. Problem lies in that psychological tendency to think about ordinality is who's richer than me. And that's where it becomes dangerous, because then you can start to say, the family down the street, they have a nicer car than me, so we should get a nicer car because they look richer than us, and so we need to be as rich as them. And you start getting yourself into these terrible situations, and you start worrying about things that you shouldn't worry about. You get self-doubt and anxiety creeping in. Like, realistically, no one cares what car you drive. And if they do care, you don't want to be their friend anyway, so it doesn't really matter what their opinion is. And I said I probably wouldn't talk about math too much today, and I've failed miserably so far, but here we go again with some more math. If you think about unavoidable purchases that weren't made today, those can be directly traded for additional days of financial freedom, right? So there's a direct correlation with whatever avoidable purchases were made or not made have a direct correlation to the number of days of financial freedom. You're actually trading these avoidable purchases for your time. But if you can twist the way that you think to think more in time as opposed to purchases, I guarantee it will change the way you think about making a purchase. So let's go through a thought experiment. I think I did for the math for this, I think I did let's say make $16.25 an hour. So you have a Gucci t-shirt that's $650. What I'm challenging you to do is say, I really want to buy that Gucci polo. I think it was a polo, not a t-shirt. I want to buy that Gucci polo. But that Gucci polo costs you 40 hours. Don't think about that it costs $650, it costs you 40 hours. I guarantee if you think about how much effort you have to put in to get through 40 hours of work, that Gucci polo does not sound that appealing anymore. Anyone who thinks about trading their time for money, obviously they want to trade as little time as possible, right? And remember how I said being rich is a qualitative attribute, thus meaning it's descriptive in nature and hard to quantify. This is this idea of the fallacy of being rich. So the more designer clothes you buy, the nicer cars you buy, the nicer neighborhoods you move into, how much you're trying to exude how rich you are, by default, the less wealthy you are. You can't accumulate wealth and spend your wealth at the same time. So therefore, if you increase how much you're spending to look more rich, you will by default be decreasing your wealth, and therefore you'll be farther away from financial freedom. So this is a topic in a book called The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. There's a lot of great information in that book. You should definitely read it. However, this is one of the main takeaways from that book that I took, at least, and I think it's quite important. And it kind of hits to the point of what we're talking about here today. You cannot be rich and wealthy at the same time. You have an inverse relationship. So the more you're trying to be rich, the less wealthy you're going to be, and vice versa. If you try to accumulate wealth and you stop spending all your money, your wealth will stack up quite quickly and you'll be closer to financial freedom. Pitfall number 3 that is keeping rich people in the rat race is expecting their salary to increase at a faster pace than their life expenses. Why are you worried about saving so much? Why are you so worried about your investments? Don't you know that saving is for people who just have capped salaries? Why are you worried about this? I'm gonna make so much money at such an exponential pace that I don't need to save because I can just continue to keep growing my salary. First off, there's a lot of things wrong with that. What he's doing, especially if you think about it like a trader, what he's doing is he's making an unhedged bet. Unhedged bets are not where you want to be because the future can be quite an unpredictable place. And so what you want to do is you want to have an emergency fund, preferably in a high-yield savings account. You want to have your investment accounts set up. Ideally, have alternative streams of income. You're that kind of rainy day backup plan, because there will be a day that the rain comes, and if you're not ready, if you're not hedged, you will get soaked. And another thing that I think isn't really thought about enough when we think about this kind of stuff is that mindset is a total lack of financial independence. If you think about it like a trader using options, right? So just so we're all on the same page, an option is a contract to have the option to buy something at a future date at a given strike price, okay? And if you found this video, you probably care a lot about financial freedom, or you're actively pursuing financial freedom, or you're thinking about it often. So financial freedom and financial independence, that's the call option on your life contract, and the strike price is your financial freedom number. And when I think like this, and I'm thinking to myself, my job will give me all the money I need and it will continue to grow my salary and I'm relying on my employer, I am actually selling my call option to my employer, especially without having like backup fund, backup emergency fund, no investment accounts, no alternative income streams. I'm actually short a naked call option. When I think about it, right, that's unlimited downside potential. So when you think about it like that, put the analogy all the way through. You have no backup, like no emergency fund, no alternative income streams, no investment. Your only way to make money is from your employer. Okay, well, now you're fine. All right, what happens? You got nothing. Unlimited downside. You're going to rock bottom, right? You've got no backup. So that's why you have to think about these things properly, or else, again, you leave yourself on that rainy day, you leave yourself soaked. So you need to be thinking in life, I've got to be hedging my bets. And let's just say you wanted to be an employee forever, you should still think about these things. But if you're looking for true financial freedom, these things are a must. They're the beginning steps and they're a must. You have to. I think I'm going to leave it there. If you do find thinking about life and kind of options, frameworks, and helping with decision making, leave me a note in the comments if you think that'd be something interesting to think about and talk through. So like, for example, in the presence of heightened implied volatility, an options contract has a higher price, so it's more valuable. So you can translate that to your life and say, if I lean into new opportunities and try new challenges, the kind of like implied volatility of my life is going to increase, and therefore the call option on my life, that contract, is actually more valuable. So whenever I do hit some sort of strike price, it should be higher payoff. You can think about things like that, and I think it's actually quite helpful for decision making. All right, so today we talked about the 3 ways that the rich get stuck in the rat race and how you can avoid these same mistakes too. If you found this video helpful, I really appreciate a like. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe. I make videos like this every week. And go onto the channel and check out some other videos, see if you find anything interesting. Also, the last thing I'll ask is if there's anything else you'd want me to go over, anything else you'd find interesting to talk about and talk through, please leave a comment as well, and I'll be sure to incorporate it into an upcoming video. I'll see you next time as we go on this journey together and how I can help you become jobless by design.